Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Tostri Live Digital Creative Summit. I'm glad that people are back today. We've got an amazing topic to discuss with one of my best buddies. I would like to actually say my best friends. And we will be covering the art of writing and directing. And Mlu is someone that I've worked with for a while. He's someone that has written a whole lot of scripts, a whole lot of amazing scripts within school and outside of um, the institution. So we've done quite a lot. We recently did a project last year, a music video, and there's a lot more that we're going to tell you guys about, which is like our upcoming projects together. And you guys will have a very insightful session today because directing and writing is one of the things that people struggle with, which it forms part of concept development, really. So he will definitely give us solid insight. We'll share a bit of a backstory on our journey to Japan as well, because we had a really amazing time and we met a lot of people there that some of our friends don't even know actually. So we'll give insight on that, but mostly we'll give you insight on the exciting journey or the exciting times we've had on set. So I'd like to welcome Mlu into the live now. How are you, brother?
Hi, man. Thank you for having me. I'm good. Thank you, man.
Solid, solid, bro. How's your day going? How's
Um,
home? How's lockdown?
you know, um, home is fine. I'm actually happy to be back here. Um,
Mm.
I think for writers, we are accustomed to like a situation like this because we're always supposed to be at home. You're always at home writing. So for me, it felt like an extended holiday. So although the world is on fire right now, but it's about having perspective, I guess. And I'm glad that I'm getting a bit of that perspective right now.
Right, right, bro. So just going into the live, could you please formally now introduce yourself and just give us a bit of insight on who Mlu is, where's Mlu from? Not too much, but just in a summary.
Okay. My name is Mlu Godola, but I'm otherwise known professionally as Mlu Godola. I'm a screenwriter and director that's formally trained. Originally, I am born and bred in Carltonville, but I've spent some time in the Eastern Cape where I found film, and then I met you in film school where we studied, and yeah, I've been making films ever since.
Right. Awesome, awesome, bro. Then diving into the interview now. Um, what is, or how should I say, explain to the viewers now and the kids that are watching this, what is writing? What is writing, directing and writing as a discipline? Like, what does someone say that that profession is?
Okay, I'll start with the writing. Writing, or what we call it, screenwriting, is writing drama or narrative fiction for the screen, whether that be TV or cinema. And so, writing, someone who condenses a story into the format of a script and then gets it made through the channels that we have available. A director is the person who is in charge of taking that script or that story that's been written and turning it into a movie or a visual product. They are like the lens through which all the other disciplines are made. So the writer works through the director and every other person on the film crew, including the cinematographer, the producers, the art department, and the actors. He sort of channels them into making this singular project, single unified project. So those are the sort of basically what they are, writing and directing.
Mm. All right, I think you gave quite a solid explanation of what
I
they
hope so.
are. I think
I
you
hope
made
so.
you made,
It's vague, yeah. Nobody
yeah.
really knows what it is,
Nah,
but yeah, basically it.
yeah, no, they get it, bro. You simplified it enough. I think you mentioned something really important in that description where you said a director basically leads the pack, and they convince people into this vision basically that we all make and sell as a final product, which is the film or the telenovela. So I've always gotten this thing where I think people that are not within the industry still don't understand, or let me not even say understand. They feel as if probably the director is the head of the house and they run the show, right?
Mm.
So, what would you say? And this is, I think, diverting a bit from the questions, but what would you say on a set, right? The director is responsible for now. I think you'll just you'll simplify it more into like the practical elements because you've given us the theoretical answer of what a director does, but what do you do? What is your role on a set?
So in the hierarchy of a film set, the director is sort of like a working man, just like everybody else on set. There is a producer who's above everybody else, and an executive producer who is the highest of them all. So usually you won't find any of those two on set, on the ground with the actors. And so the director is there to make sure that eventually all these things that have been brought together make a good and entertaining dramatic product. So we are in charge of the final product that you see on screen. So whether or not it makes you laugh, whether or not it makes you cry, we are in charge of making sure that happens. That happens by working as a team and sort of being a leader that marshals all these different elements. Mostly my work consists of working with actors and making sure that their dramatic performances are fitting and are emotive, because it is through the actors that the emotion of the story is sort of transferred. It's almost like it's through the eyes of the actor that the audience connects. And then along with the actor, who's my first collaborator, my closest collaborator other than the actors is the cinematographer. He sort of works in sort of defining the visual language of the film. How is it going to be shot? How long are the shots going to be? How are we going to cut it together, and how we shoot it determines how we cut it together. He also works with me in determining the visual look of the film, which is what colors do we use, what lensing do we use, and how does that affect the audience's perceptive or perception of what's happening on screen. And then I could go at length at the different other elements, different other disciplines that I work with, like the editor, the costume design. But we all come together as a team, and what I'm in charge of is making sure that that team delivers a visually pleasing and narratively pleasing product. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think people, you can take from that directors do hold the ship, but at the end of the day, we work as a unit to give this end product. You respect each other's roles on a set because everyone is important. Basically, it's like a domino effect where without an art director, without a production designer, certain things can't be done, or they would slow down the process of making that product. So collaboration is key. I think this is a thread that people are taking from all these the sessions that we've had already. That collaboration is key. So just now diving into more of the journey. I do not know what just happened, but people can probably still hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
But so basically, sorry, I think I'm just losing it a bit. Yes, we're back. Now technical has got it on lock. These are just small delays, but we're still rocking now.
Salute.
Salute, bro. So just moving more into your journey, what would you say? What would you say drove you into the film industry? Apart from the discipline that you're in right now, what got you into film?
Like everybody else, I spent a lot of time watching TV and watching movies on the national broadcaster channel, because we have all those four channels. And I mean, upon watching that, I remember being moved by the stories they were telling, but I wasn't really sure about what went into making it. So to answer your first question, yes, I sort of got into the idea of loving film from watching movies. I remember watching The Never Ending Story and being, sort of surprised and entranced by what they were doing. And then later on, watching The Pursuit of Happiness and almost crying when Will Smith was crying. So that's what made me love movies. But then into the discipline and moving closer to the discipline, I had a chance in high school to actually be a director, do this sort of competition. It's called the Nabubomi Inter-School Film Competition, where you wrote a script, and out of the different districts in the province, you'd be chosen from that district in the Eastern Cape, and your film would get made. That used to premiere on SABC2 back in the day, but in my year, there was no more TV for you guys. But it was an enlightening experience because I got a chance to go on this camp where they taught us most of the stuff I knew about filmmaking. Then we got to make the movie, and it did kind of well with the audience it showed it to, and sort of that opened my eyes to, okay, this could be it. This could be not only because I love movies like everybody else, but I can actually get to make these movies, which is crazy to this day.
Awesome. That's quite an amazing journey. So it's something that comes from back then. It's not just when you're in matric now, you're like, hey, should I just try this thing or what?
There was a part of that was like, because you always like, can I just, is it possible? Because, it's a tricky situation to go into, and it required a lot of faith from my parents to say, I will let you go and do this and study where you studied. And yeah, I'm very grateful for that. But it was a risk going into matric. I had that, should I just do something normal? But yeah, that's boring, right?
But you went into it, and then it's been exciting. I know it's been exciting because we've been in this journey, man.
Yeah, you've been there.
Yeah, bro. So just leading now into the current, what would you say, or how have you been dealing with COVID? Because
yeah, it's
I know.
Look, man, I think COVID is at once forcing us to realize that a lot has to change coming from after this whole situation ends, whether it be this year, next year, or whenever. But I've been noticing a lot is that although a lot of people, the government is telling us to stay away and, stay distant from each other. I think right now I'm learning that it's so important to connect to each other even more, And for me, I'm lucky enough to not have it had affect me in such a bad way as some other people have been affected. They've lost family members, they've seen family members be sick in front of them. And I've been lucky enough to be able to have perspective and look at what's happening in the world and saying, okay, the world is telling us to separate, but we need to connect to each other, not physically, but emotionally and through my medium, which is screenwriting and directing, which is the one essential service that we have that keeps us going today, because without the ability to escape and that escapism that it offers us, we would really be like locked down into our fears and our worries because of the situation. That's why places like Netflix and Showmax have been boosted because everybody's losing themselves. Everyone's trying to forget what's happening around the world because they want to lose themselves in story, in something that will engage me and make me forget for 1 moment or 2 hours or whatever what's happening in my life. So for me, COVID has been an interesting and sort of traumatic experience, but it's one that we all need to learn from, I guess, how we deal with each other from today onwards.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, bro. And I love that you shed the light in the sense that right now there's a lot of content that's going around and whatnot, and that provides some form of like escapism for people. Some people don't realize it because they're so used to just consuming content, but I'd say they appreciate it more now because they're at home after working or being on the laptop. Immediately they want to try and get out of the state that they're in. So I think that's very important that people understand that we are also essential services, my man.
We are essential. They're not as essential as nurses or like firefighters or police, but we are essential in a sense that we allow the firefighters and the nurses to escape from the stresses
from the traumas that they experience.
And it's tough, and it's rough out there, and so it is important that we recognize our place for society, for the zeitgeist right now.
Yeah, no, definitely, bro. So during this period of COVID, how have you been living, bro? How have you been making money as a writer? Has it been rough? What other forms have you been able to get into to try actually sustain yourself as an individual?
I mean, the film industry has been affected very harshly by this COVID-19 thing as well, because we, like, unlike many other jobs, we have to work very closely with each other. I read somewhere that, if there's an actor that has a makeup artist there, a director in front of you, a camera and a sound guy, and that's all close. And opportunities for social distancing in that kind of situation are very, very hard. So we saw sort of like a slowing down of the work, but as regulations lifted, people started going on sets and stuff. As a writer, I've had more of an easier time because writing can be done anywhere, and usually it's done remotely. Thank God to situations like Skype and Zoom or whatever, we are able to share ideas and communicate story ideas, but I can be at home, safe, writing, and I've managed to get like a job or two, sort of being at home, not even having to interact with anyone. But as director, it's tough because we have to think about how can we keep the crew and the actors safe during this time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So would you say then you've somewhat been able to consult virtually on scripts and all of that? So that's how you've been able to make some form of living.
Yeah. That's probably the only way a lot of writers work right now, and I think it's going to continue long after this COVID-19 thing's happening, because now we see how easy it is. Because last time it was like, we don't want to do it, but now it's easy, so we'll probably keep doing it. And I've been lucky in that. But yeah, it has been rough on people working on sets, like camera operators, grips, people who have to physically deal with things.
Physically be there, yeah.
They have to suffer, because I see a lot of student films are being made via Zoom and whatnot, just using a camera. So a lot of that is sort of like eliminating a lot of the work that we had. Catering companies are not getting the work because no one needs the food when they're at home. So it's really making, as I keep saying, it's really gonna make us sort of rethink and relook at the way we work today and after this whole situation happens.
And awesome. At least there's something that you're doing, bro, to get an income. And I was trying to drag out that point to reiterate what I've been saying, that a lot of creatives and I think people in general within the entertainment industry have been able to find means, other ways, either in what they've been doing to make an income, or totally different ways to actually sustain themselves now. So it speaks towards being innovative and actually still being passionate about what you do, because you don't want to just sit.
We are used to,
so I think it's
like, we are used to this. I'm sorry to butt in there, but I think it's a testament to the nature of filmmaking. We deal with like 1,000 things happening on set while trying to make our product. There's this quote that I love. It says that filmmaking or directing a film is like trying to write a poem while riding a roller coaster. And we are used to riding that roller coaster. We are used to So when the chance comes up, like, okay, we need to find a way to sustain ourselves, let's use other means to do it. Let's keep writing this poem, although the roller coaster is just doing
still rocking us there. Yeah. No, that's amazing, bro. I think right now I'd like to, because we're leading more towards the end of the session, but what people don't know is that you and I have worked on a lot already. Not to mention the film that got us the first trip out of the country, Stella Madzi. So, what would you say in that end, like the journey of like from when we were at after to now? How has that been, like transitioning from film school into the industry?
Well, film school for a lot of people is a bubble where you have everything offered to you. All you need to do is just show up and it will be given to you. You work with crew members that have to work with you, that have to show up every day, because if they don't show up, they fail the course. You are given all the equipment. And so once you leave film school, this bubble sort of pops and you're left trying to figure out, okay, it's not going to be as easy as waking up, writing a script, waking up, and then saying, I'm going to go shoot it. Now there's a whole lot that has to go into it. And for me, it's been a big stretch. It started with my honors year, where I had less resources than they're usually offered to me, and that sort of forced me to start thinking about, okay, how can I make these things happen without the assistance of a school or a governing body to help me out? And then in the years preceding, we've been making this film together for years, and through that, it's taught me one thing, that okay, you have to be willing to do it yourself. You have to be willing to say, I don't know how to do A, B, and C, but I need to learn how to do that so that I can get the story that I really, really want to tell out there into the public. And it's sort of disillusionized, or if that's not even a word, but it sort of pulled down the curtain on this whole thing that I had, that I had to be just a writer or just a director. But I could be more than that. I could be a producer. I could be a costume designer. I could be a makeup artist. I could help out with the grips. I
Yeah.
could produce the thing and edit the thing as well. You can be
Yeah.
more than these things, and that's been the biggest learning curve that I think if film students do watch this, and I wish someone had told me this, that while in film school, you should try and do everything you can. You should, in those hours, in those courses, usually in our course, we had classes maybe once or twice or three times in a week, and then we spend the rest of the week like sitting around at home doing nothing. But in that time,
Yeah.
put yourself in other classes, put yourself in other situations, or go into the industry and start learning as an assistant, because that's going to build on your craft as a director and as a writer. Because writers tend to forget. There's this thing when I worked in the industry, that the professionals on set, they were so angry because the writers seemed to be writing in a vacuum. They just wrote whatever they wanted to write, and then they said, okay, the producers and the cinematographers, they'll figure it out when when they get to set. But that's not the case.
Yeah.
You need to understand the financial, the restrictions, the climate that you're working in, and how are these people actually gonna pull off what you're doing, or what you want to, which is, yeah, which has been a big learning curve for me personally. The sun is starting to set this time, so I might be getting a bit
Yeah.
darker.
Nah, no worries. At least the content is there. Uh, so I mean, I hope that we have a few writers or writers that will even watch this after, because you mentioned a really important thing, bro. Um,
Mm.
I think the industry is so, yeah, it's so different from what people in these institutions think it is. They think it's just all the glam. You get the coolest gear as soon as you step out, but that's not even the case.
No,
That's
you
not
think you're
even
gonna.
the case.
We thought that we were after Stelamanzi. We thought, actually, personally,
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna walk into a directing job and I'd keep that directing job. And then you realize that actually you just made one good short film in film school.
Yeah.
No one's gonna hand it to
Yeah.
you in a theater. No one's gonna
Bro.
say, "Hey, come." That might have happened once or twice for me
Yeah.
because of the strength of the short film we made together in film school. But after that, it
Mm,
had to be, it was based on the strength of your last film. And now I'm two
mm,
or three
mm,
films after Stella Manzi. No one's looking at Stella Manzi anymore and saying,
mm.
okay. No, they're looking at what I did recently, and they're gonna see what we did recently, and they're gonna be like, okay, this is where they are. This is how much they've grown as well. So yeah, it's. I wish I'd known that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, this is why we were hosting such sessions, bro, to give people more insight on this on the industry in general, and well, our personal experience, really, because people have different journeys, but at the end of the day, we're giving a bit of what we know and what we've experienced. So a lot of people don't know that we worked last year. We worked on a project that was funded by the NFVF,
Thank you very
and it's
much.
still not out yet.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and I wanted you to just give a bit of insight on that, like just the teaser. Don't give them too much, but just give them context of what this project is about and what it means to us personally, because we share, I think, something similar in terms of what inspired it. So
An experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'll try not to give away too much. I'm not even sure I can reveal the name. Um,
No,
but
no, no, not yet.
we'll keep that. We'll keep that. But it's
Yeah.
it's a film that we worked on, and it took years to make. I think I wrote the script in film school, and we've been like since then been trying to make this film. It's a film that
Mm.
basically looks at trauma and the trauma that we cause each other as family members, and tries to see how that trauma from the past affects the decisions we make today. And so through that, sort of consolidating our past with our present, how can we make decisions for our future? Which is so important, and something we notice that our past usually affects how we move forward and how we make decisions for our future. I do
Mm.
this, or the film does this, all the while looking at the broader societal sort of implications of what the family is going through, especially for South Africans, especially for people in our age group, dealing with this kind of trauma from their past. And so, yeah, making this film for us, it's, they say when you're writing and you're making films, you write it from the inside out. So you make films
Yes.
coming from your own experience, from your own your life. But then when you write it and you share it with the world, you
Mm.
present it in a way that is so much not unlike yourself, but then people can relate to it and feel like you're telling a story about their own lives and their own experiences. And I think that's been how we've been working, even in films like Stella Manzi, which seem to be very distant from our experience. We've always found a way to
Mm.
personalize it in such a way that when we lend our voices to them, we can be authentic and we can feel authentic about it. And so that's the film that we are currently in post production on, and we hope to be to finish. We've been pushing through even through this COVID-19 thing. And
Mm.
thank you once again to the NFEF. Thank you to Tostri Media. Plug. For the help.
Shut out.
Uh, for the assistance
Yeah.
in making a film that for a long time didn't feel like it was going to get made. But I think the
Yeah.
best work is born through conflict. That's one thing I've learned. It's
Yeah.
the conflict that's going to make the story worth telling. And I'm very happy about it. I can't wait to share it with the world when it's done. Now
Yeah.
I'm blank.
Right. Nah, bro. Like I said, the importance of the content. And as
No
Mlu
problem.
mentioned, this is a project that we've been working on for a while now, and we are very big on, like he said again, authenticity. So, as people know, even in the way I shoot, and even in the way he tells his stories or how he builds them,
Yeah.
these are things that we want to be relatable somehow to the person that views the film. We're not really big on doing films for the sake of just doing them and putting them out there and having our names on them, but we
True.
want you as the viewer to leave with something, both in
Mm,
how we shoot it. It must feel as real as it could, and give
mm.
you or put you in that world or something that you've experienced before. So, in closing, Blue, I'd really like to thank you, bro, for giving us your time. Did you want to say something, bro?
Yeah, I wanted to say something to put you on the spot, and say,
Yeah.
um, in our last work, I guess, I want to
Mm.
piggyback on what you're saying about how we shoot it. I feel that that's something very common in our work, where it feels like the audience member is right there with the characters, is right there experiencing the thing. And I think that's one thing our medium is trying to do. We're trying to.
Mm.
There's just always been this barrier between the audience member and the content or the narrative, and the camera is a way of bridging that gap. And our hope is that the way we shoot it, the way we light it, the way the camera moves around the actors, it sort of bridges
Mm.
that gap so that the difference between the audience and the characters is negligible, that they see themselves
Yeah.
as one. And that's what I've been impressed with mostly with working with social media and working with you. How
Thank you
sort
so
of
much,
intimate.
bro.
And yeah, let's keep doing this. I think this is an important platform you're offering with the summit. And
Mm.
I can't wait to watch the other ones because I wish I'd watched something like this when I was in film
Yeah.
school. Maybe it would have made things a bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I fully agree, bro. And thank you so much. I mean, it goes both ways. Working with you is always amazing, bro. Um, Hence, we were able to build such amazing products.
Mm.
And I really thank you for coming on, bro. And people should know that we are still going to give you further insight on a lengthier platform, which will be like a pre-recorded version of this, where we put it
No.
up on YouTube and we educate people further into this. I'm
Facts.
not happy that we did not get any questions from the viewers today, but at the same time, I feel like we gave so much. So
Mm.
thank you so much for coming on, bro, and we will chat soon.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, brother. So, thank you guys for tuning in today. That was very insightful because it actually just reminded me of a lot from back in school and just the struggles, or should I say, more of my journey as well. It's actually been quite a lot the past few years, but we've been able to actually reach these things that we are in right now, having businesses within the industry. So I think it was insightful for me as well, and I hope it was for the viewers. I hope that you are actually taking something from this. Please comment, even in the version that we upload after. Please do subscribe to the Tostri Live channel as well on YouTube to catch the recap videos because that is where we put them up. Don't forget to share that the summit is something that is happening on a daily up until the 30th of July. We have a lot of departments that we will still tap into. And I again thank you for taking your time and for tuning in. We look forward to having you on the channel, on the YouTube channel, in terms of subscribing and giving the support that you are now. And we thank you yet again. I said thank you like 5 times already. My technical director is just shaking his head right now, like, you've said thank you. They get it. But thank you so much. And we will see you tomorrow.